Hey there, welcome to the first episode of Odd Talks Gaming. This is your host, Odd, a digital artist with an appreciation for various video games. In this episode, I want to talk about a game that is very special to me, but before I can do so, there is something I need to address. There has always been a sort of controversy around whether video games can be considered art pieces. Before sharing my opinion, it's important to know what the definition of art is. While many people have their own interpretation of what art means, according to Oxford Languages, art means the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. The people who believe that video games cannot be categorized as art believe that video games are geared toward entertainment rather than expression. They have rules and objectives, which is something art typically does not have. And lastly, video games are interactive rather than passive. While these are definitely understandable things to take into account, I believe these differences should not belittle the artistic value video games are able to have. In fact, the interactive nature of video games should even be able to enhance the abstract power art has on us as human beings. They can take us into worlds that literature, visual art, or music alone are unable to, as they have their own limits. I can even go as far as to say that video games are technically the next step above film in terms of artistic complexity. So now you might be wondering why I brought up this argument in the first place. Why does it matter? Well, there is a big reason. The game I'm about to talk about is a game created by the highly esteemed Fumito Ueda. To give a quick overview, Ueda is a creative designer who graduated from the Osaka University of Arts and took his knowledge of art design to revolutionize games. His first title, Ico, was known to inspire countless games, such as Journey and The Last of Us, alongside the birth of the Soulsborne genre, which is a very big deal. His next title, Shadow of the Colossus, is highly praised by various gamers, and is the most popular game he's made. Just like Ico, Shadow of the Colossus provides an unforgettable experience that will likely make you cry by the end. As much as I love and appreciate both Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, I'm actually not here to talk about either of them. There's one last game Ueda released back in 2016, a game that went through various development struggles and turned out to be extremely underappreciated. The game I'm referring to is The Last Guardian was my first experience with Ueda's works, and taught me just how beautifully games can be illustrated through their unique language. In this episode, I'm here to break down a few of the basic fundamentals this game takes advantage of to create one of the most beautiful stories ever designed. The first part about playing video games is learning their controls. How does this button affect what's going on the screen? And how about that button? The Last Guardian has similar controls to Ueda's other titles, and they're known to be rather unique and sometimes frustrating due to said uniqueness. However, from an artistic standpoint, they make a lot of sense, as they subtly make you move your hands in ways that symbolize your actions throughout the game. In order to demonstrate, I'll be using some footage from my own gameplay of The Last Guardian. On a PS4 controller, there are 4 main action buttons: X, square, triangle, and circle. The main way in which The Last Guardian utilizes these buttons is the jump and crouch buttons. The bottom button, X, is used for crouch, whereas the top button, triangle, is used for jump. Using the higher button to go higher and the lower button to go lower sets the path for the player to be more in sync with the main character, allowing us to experience the world as though we truly are this character in this strange new world that's new to both of us. The other part of the controls I want to talk about is still part of controlling our character, but the unique thing is that they're primarily for communication. In this game, we have our companion, the dog, cat, bird, chimera, Trico, which in-game is pronounced Toriko. This companion is an important part of our experience, but since this character is an independent one that we can't control, we instead need to have ways to communicate with it. This is where the R1 button on a PS4 controller comes in. This button is solely dedicated to one thing, calling Trico. This action gets our companion's attention so that both you and Trico can move along in your journey. To make things even more interesting, the 4 action buttons I listed previously help us communicate specific demands to Trico. When combined with R1, the player can press triangle to tell Trico to jump, fly, or be used as a living platform to get higher. Square to tell Trico to attack something, as this button on its own is used for shoving or rolling. X to, well, most people actually don't know what this command does, but our best guess is that it resets Trico. And finally, circle to tell Trico to interact with an object. And as you might guess, this button allows you to interact with objects when used without R1. The existence of these controls teach us subconsciously how important Trico is for making progress. Isn't it cool how so much can be symbolized solely through one of the most basic video game mechanics? Oh, and as a little bonus, before I move on to the next point, if you climb onto Trico and press O, you can pet it. And if you keep petting Trico for enough time, you might even go to sleep. So adorable. Next, I want to talk about how colors are used in this game. There aren't many flashy colors or busy palettes to speak of, which is definitely a good thing. Too many colors placed without meaning make it a lot harder to have clear focal points. This game uses color very intentionally, as it doesn't use many words to communicate what you need to pay attention to. It's a great example of show don't tell, and I'll explain the gist of how they go about this. The game uses a lot of neutral colors, like browns and tans, to make other colors stand out more. The contrast between these colors allow the eye to naturally be led through the Last Guardian's unique setting. Variations of red can be seen in sconces, doors, railings, Trico's evil eyes, the lightning that shoots from his tail, part of the main character's outfit, and other objects. Blues, I've found, are often directional colors in the game, as they can be found in the barrels you feed Trico, the butterflies that surround them, Trico's horns, the horns and eyes of the armored enemies, tiles on the floor that act as hints to the right direction, and the mirror you get at the start of the game. And variations of yellow can be found in well-lit spaces, Trico's hungry eyes, the iris of the stained glass eyes, and glowing objects seen through flowing water if you position the camera just right. Importance is also portrayed with pure white, as the sky and tall tower you're trying to get to the whole game illuminate this color. Not only does this help pave the way for the player throughout the game, it also gives off a slight theme of light showing the way through darkness, which is quite symbolic on its own. Another color design choice I noticed is that they used both white and red for the main character's outfit in order to contrast the browns and greens of the typical environment. I feel this is a very overlooked but especially important design element, as it wouldn't be good for the main character to be camouflaged with this setting. This would make it harder for the player to locate where they are on the screen. If you play the game enough and feed Trico plenty of barrels throughout your playthroughs, you do get to unlock different outfits with different looks. However, they still give a proper contrast to the environment with either the red or blue primary colors. I won't be talking in depth about how music or sound design plays a part in this game, since I'm not particularly knowledgeable with those topics. But I do want to say that this soundtrack is absolutely perfect for this game and the emotions they try to convey. The composer Takeshi Furukawa made an incredible contribution to this masterpiece of a game, and it would not be the same without his work. Now, last but not least, I'm going to be talking about the design choices that set The Last Guardian apart from all other video games, the mechanical contrast between the boy and his companion. I won't be diving into all the small details since you can find quite a few other people who've spent time analyzing this aspect of the game, but I do want to point out the qualities that contribute to its artistic nature. Our main character, the boy, is small and can interact with smaller objects. On the other hand, Trico is large and interacts with bigger objects. This means that the boy can reach barrels, levers, and small crevices that Trico is unable to, and Trico can take you to locations that you can't reach on your own through transporting you to far or high platforms and also becoming a movable platform to some extent. The boy and Trico also have their weaknesses. The boy's threat are the armored enemies, while Trico has a fear of the stained glass eyes. However, the boy is able to remove the stained glass eyes, and Trico is able to easily kill the armored enemies. The Last Guardian uses this contrast to make us feel as though we need to rely on Trico just as much as he relies on us. So, what does this do for the artistic element of the game? Well, look back on your relationship with the people closest to you. Aren't there things they're able to help you with? Maybe they're someone you can vent to, or they're really skilled with computers. And I'm sure you also have some personality trait or skill that helps or uplifts that other person. Creating bonds is not possible without feeling like you want or need a person in your life. And that's the connection this game creates solely through mechanics. Trico is an independent, non-player character in this game, meaning you can't control him, just like you can't control the people around you. You use the command buttons to communicate your thoughts and needs to Trico, much like how you learn to express yourself during social interactions. And as a bonus, you can watch Trico's mannerisms to see what he's thinking, much like how you can pick up the body language of those you talk to. And just like the frustrations that can come up when Trico doesn't fully listen to your commands, you're bound to have frustrations and misunderstandings with people. This game masterfully puts all of these mechanics in place, alongside the linear setting and few cutscenes, to make you feel exactly what you need to feel by the end of the experience. Let me refer back to the definition of art that I read at the start of this video. The Last Guardian is a beautiful and emotional visual experience, skillfully created by Fumito Ueda and his team through taking advantage of the video game medium. If someone still believed games could not be considered art, even after learning all of this, I'd pity them for their inability to process these new forms art can take. There is a lot more to this game than the simple mechanical aspects, but I really hope this episode can help spark curiosity in those who have not played the game to experience this for themselves. And for those who have already played the game, I just hope you were able to enjoy some random teenager rant about the basics that you probably already knew. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Odd Talks Gaming. If you enjoyed it, it would mean a lot to me if you shared it with other people who might have an interest, or tell me in the comments about your own experience with games like The Last Guardian. Will I be creating another episode of Odd Talks Gaming? I actually don't know the answer to this question yet. I did this first episode primarily for a school assignment, and while part of the process was quite fun, it took me a good few weeks to put together. Not to mention, I'm fairly amateur with recording and editing at the moment, so confidence is fairly low with it. However, if you found this content worth your time and want to see more of it in the future, definitely let me know just what type of game-related thing you'd be interested in hearing my take on. I'll be sure to keep note of whatever it is. Thanks again for watching. This is Odd, and I'll catch you later.